Hope you're all okay and ready for a demonstration on the blossom and leaf and a few other things as well. Easier to show you than explain, but anyway, we'll get started. So, one of my favourite colours is the blossom and leaf. You can do so much with it, and it's so pretty, you know, for christening cakes. You've got a little bit of flowery going on. It's a really pretty colour, or pretty set. So, here we go. So what I've done, I've already iced a cake, and I'll just take this wrap off actually, because I'll smooth out a little bit. Just get my smoother on there. So I wrapped it up so that it would stay soft, because I just want to show you about embossing onto the sides. Normally, people have said they use it for round boards, you know, round here on a board, just to give it a bit of extra colour. But it does look nice as a cake topper. So I'm just going to get the cutters in. So this is the set, and you get like a little spray and little, I've got them here that are twisted off. So you get a left and a right. So something like this one here, the larger one, you could emboss and then use the opposite, so that you end up with a wavy line. So everything is in opposite, one side to the other there. So it's obvious that you can just emboss on the top of the cake like so. It has dried out a little bit, this, but let's get it a little bit deeper on there. And it's not a sharp edge cake, so when I've iced it I have gone round just to soften that edge, because I want this to roll over the side, over the edge. So if it was sharp, it just wouldn't look right. So if you do have trouble with sharp edges, go phew, this is meant to be without. So I'm just going to press that on the top, get a nice impression there, and then roll it over. Hold the back side to side, just make sure that you do get a nice impression on there. If you think, well, that's gone a bit deep, then just go over with your finger, and that will just soften that edge. Now everything is coming over the top there, from the top. So obviously on top here you can just emboss into the paste, put one up there, and then I want it to look, once this is full, I want it to look as though they're tumbling over. So you can use this one, which has a leaf and a little flower on it. Roll it back, a bit heavy there. This is a set of 3 leaves. Let's have a little look and see where I'm going to emboss this. So yeah, I could take this down so this is a little bit longer, and then even the leaves on their own, so that it's just going to go over that top edge. And then this is a set of 5, so maybe about there. So press, rock from side to side, and then up and over the top, just so that you get that nice outline. You don't want it too deep, but yeah, just a little bit on there. So when you've decided you've got your pattern that you want, I wouldn't go too low with this, but you could take maybe another one there. I just turn that round so you can see, and that has gone deep. I'll just press that out. Of course, I'm working on the side, so I'm not pressing as I normally would. So I'm just going to show you about painting. So once you've got all your pattern on there, that's fine. And then I'm going to use, I'll just put that to one side. I'm going to use the isopropyl alcohol, Rejuvenator Spirit. What colour is this, Marion? Right, the actual icing itself here is, oh, what colour is it? Sorry, I've got the wrong glasses on. What colour is it? It's the blossom and leaf set. I thought you said what colour. The actual icing is ivory. It's not white, it's ivory, just in case you want to know about that. Right, so I'm going to go in with isopropyl alcohol and dust colour. No, I'm mixing my lid, so you can do it in your little palette if you wanted to. And I've got a number 2, and it's a sable brush, so it's a nice soft brush. Now, if you've seen me over the years demonstrating this, I mean, I started doing this years and years ago. You'll know what I'm going to do now, but so might be a sort of a close shot there. But if you haven't seen this before, I think you'll like it. So you make this as a really runny solution, and then load your brush with the colour and just touch it into the flower. And can you see what happens? It runs around the outside edge. Okay. Now you can, once you've embossed it, you could leave this to sort of set a little for a couple of hours before you paint it, but you can do it straight away if you're in a rush. Now on the side of the cake, you might think, well, that might run down the side, but just do the same thing. Just touch it into the edge. Let it run. Doesn't matter if it goes down the leaves or the stems, you'll overpaint that later. So just let that run. I'll turn this here. I'll just do one more. I don't want to spend the whole time doing this, but it's just to give you an idea. So once that starts to evaporate, the alcohol, it won't run, and you need to then top up the alcohol in your pot. Now, going back to the type of alcohol, it's the rejuvenator, the isopropyl alcohol, and the Sugar Flare is I found is the best one for this running in. Whether there's additives to the others make them smell nice, oils, I don't know, but I find this is the one that will run. So if you've tried this and it doesn't run, then I would say change your I'll just get a piece of kitchen paper, change your alcohol. Right, oh, that's a stretch. Okay, so just get this to get the water off there. Right, so onto the leaves. Now I'm using the Lichen Green. This has got a lot of gold in it. Either this or what's the other one I like? I can't remember the name, but anyway, I've used Lichen Green because it's got a lot of gold. So when you paint with it, you're getting shades of gold and shades of green. Exactly the same. Just let that be a really runny solution, and then I'm going to touch that into the base of the flower. So I'll just turn that a little bit so that you can see. So there, so I'll touch it there and let it run, and touch it there and let that run. If you think, oh, that's gone over the edge a little bit, because it's so runny, it's easy to just wipe that off. It's not a really deep, harsh colour. Touch that in, and it's not going to go running off down the side of the cake, she says. No, it won't. I did say that once at a demonstration, and it did. And what if you think, oh, it's pooling, it's getting too much colour there, and it might run, then just take the colour off your brush and touch that in, and it will go back into the brush. So you're working in reverse, yeah. But that's fine. That's what that's all about. Okay, so let's just touch that in there and there, and then go over the leaf. So touch it in, and then I usually have to support my hand, but I'll just do this final one here. Okay, so lift and touch, you see it run, and then go over. Now, because this time of year, oh, that's really a little bud there, but I'll do it in green, the cherry blossoms out. So I'm doing this in green, but then you can just go over the stem, not the leaf, but the stem with brown, and that will make more of a cherry blossom look to it. But really load that brush with this. It's all about getting the consistency of the paint right. You need it to be nice and runny. Let's go over that one. And maybe one up top here. I mean, the top ones are just fine, aren't they? They're not going anywhere. Just touch that in, let it run. And the last one, touch that in, there, let it run. And there. Okay. I won't do any more on this one now. I'm going to change now to a burgundy colour. So I'll put those back over here. I'll put them down here. So I'm going to touch the centre of the flower with burgundy so it looks more like cherry blossom. So again, I don't have to have this quite so runny this time because I want it to be really noticeable in the centre of the flower. So just touch that in. It's already got little dots embossed into the centre there, so you're just touching those in there so you can see. Now I've finished the other side of the cake so that you can see what it looks like when the whole side's done. So that's like so. Just clean my brush. I'll just put that to one side. I think that's such a pretty delicate pattern. You know, if you're going to do it for a baby's cake or anything like that, you want something delicate and pretty. Okay, so just a sausage of paste around the base there. In this, you know, you're using the same paste, so it's all the same colour. Doesn't take the eye away from the design. So I'm just going to put that to one side because, excuse me, what you can also use them for. Let's get rid of all that. Just got some flower paste. So I'm using the Renshaw flower modelling paste, but if you want to use anything else, then whatever you're used to using, that's fine. So a little bit of Trex on there. Just work that and roll. And roll it thin. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of Trex. So instead of just using it as an embosser, you can then use it to cut out. I'm just going to use that flower there, the full flower. And just cut some of these out. And then with a small palette knife, pull the paste away from round the edge of the flower and then lift that onto your sponge pad. So I've got some already on here. I'm just going to put these onto the sponge pad. So again, just pull that paste away, lift, oh, there it is on my finger, and lift, so you get a nice clean cut. Okay, oop, just play ball. Right, so what you also can do, and maybe I should have done it there, when you roll this out, if you wanted like shades or a darker shade, then before you cut the flower, you can just go over with some burgundy colour. Just brush, oh there it is, just brush a little burgundy on that. It just saves having to colour the flowers later, one by one. So then you would just go back and just shade that one. You see that's got a slight sheen to it compared to the others. Now on these I've painted gold centres. If you were going to add some to the cake itself, then it would be a paler pink and then the darker burgundy, just as the colours you've used to actually, there's that little platform, to paint the cake with. But I've got a little plaque here which I'm going to use later. So I've already painted this plaque exactly as I've done on the cake, but I've used the burgundy to paint the flowers, not the pale pink, and then I've put gold centres, and that's what I've done to these. So then you can attach those onto, I'm just going to get a little bit of wood icing, attach them onto your cake. You could use a little softened sugar paste if you wanted to, but I'm just going to put a little bit of this into a piping bag. Not going to use a nozzle, just get a little bit of that out there. Just paddle it so that it's nice and smooth. And of course you can use this if you wanted to pipe little dots between the flowers to fill out, then that's fine. But I'm just wanting to show you as much as I can with that cutter. Okay, so make sure, okay, into my bag. roll it down. So when you add these little flowers, you can, with my scissors, place them on top of the piped ones. Let's just do a couple of those. So just pipe there, and you can put that directly on top. So it starts to look more blossomy, you know, like the cherry blossom. So if I wanted to change the colours, or say on the cake I've just done, then you can lift these slightly more and make them more frilly and what have you. So it looks like cherry blossom, but this is just a blossom. So you can put them in between. You don't have to put them directly on top of. You can just use them to fill in. I like them on top of. I think it looks pretty. I'll just do a couple. There's one there. So if you're putting these round the board, then you can put one over here, maybe there. You've got a gap, fill it in with a little flower. Okay, so that's my plaque ready to add. I might put one over there. Can't stop, you see. It's knowing when to say enough. Right, so that's my little plaque ready to put my bear on later. All right. So that's just giving you a few ideas with the blossom, painting or cutting them out, building them up. Okay. So as I say, if you've got any questions as we go along, or I'll try and answer them, or I will answer them later on when I've got 5 minutes to, it's usually tonight when I sit down with a cup of tea, and then I'll answer any questions. Right, so the other flowers that I'm doing, I'm just going to take some green paste, so this green flower paste, and these are sort of fantasy frilly flowers. That's not easy to say. Frilly flowers. And so I'm going to make some stems first of all. So I'm just going to roll out on Trex. Don't roll out on corn flour or icing sugar when you're trying to roll sausages of paste. If you've got an extruder, then maybe you want to use that. I just can't be bothered washing them all, so I just do this. And then go over with your smoother. So if you roll out on Trex, it just catches, it doesn't slip about too much at all. So it's going to roll that nice and thin. And that just prevents your finger marks, so you get a nice smooth, let's go in there, a nice smooth finish on there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to take this board, I've already iced it, it's an old Christmas board, but it'll do for demonstrations, and clean my knife. Right, so I'm going to, this could be a side of the cake, and I'm going to just finish this off as though it's a panel, but this could go onto the side of a cake if you wanted it to. I'm going to have a smaller one there. I won't stick them on down just yet. I'm just trying to get the length. I want 3. Okay, I'll just do another one. And then I'll show you these flowers, which are so simple to do, but just a little bit different. Right. Okay. Don't press too hard, otherwise you'll flatten it and then you'll find it difficult to roll. Okay, that's fine. So I'm just going to place this on the board. So I've got 3 heights there. I'll leave that as it is. I might move them around in a moment, but I just wanted to have a rough idea. And then I'm just going to make a few little leaves to go with it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, half a dozen. So into tapered cones, 1, into a ball, into a cone, into a ball, into a cone. Good thing about fantasy flowers, you don't have a particular leaf, it just whatever you want it to be. You could pop these inside a bag and press on them that way, but this will do fine. That one's a little bit chunky, so I'll do that one again. Into a cone, And then I'm just going to go back and just press over with my finger to flatten slightly. And then with my Dresden tool, I'm just pressing from the rounded end down towards the point. So I'm just making a few little leaves to use in a moment. So I'll push those to one side. Now the flowers themselves I'm just going to make using the size rings. Okay. And I've got some here, so I'll show you these little frilly flowers. Okay, so for those I just cut out 2 of everything, so it's apart from these loads over here, so it's 2 of everything on there. I'll use some white paste. I've got some here somewhere. White flower paste. Oh, it's under there. Right, so again, this is the Renshaw flower paste. There's no need to add anything to it, just use it as it is. A little bit of the Trex shortening. Is it Cofra or Cofra? I wish I could speak to you, Wayne, and then you could tell me. And Crisco in America. But as long as it's a vegetable shortening, that's the main point. It doesn't really matter what the trade name is. It's a vegetable shortening, or it's not no animal fat in it. So your paste won't go rancid. Right, so all you do then, run this nice and thin. Now this is a good practice. If you're just starting out with flowers and things, and you want to, you haven't really mastered the art of softening or frilling the edges of things, this is a great one for practicing that. So just going to, I'll cut out 2 lots of these. Now the rings do separate away, as this one has done, or you can just leave them attached like that. It's up to you. But they do all have a little number on, so when I'm doing, like later on when I make this bear, then let's move this off here. They've all, you work to the numbers that are on them, those little tabs that are on them. Right, so I'm just going to place these onto my sponge. I always say, don't stick things in your sponge. And I have, as you can see from this, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but best not to. It's lots of wires where I've stuck flower things in. Okay, so that's 2 of those, and then we want 2 of those. That's the larger. And then we want 2 of the other one. Again, little tracks just to hold that down. Just roll a small piece out. And that's for the one on here. So I've got all the sizes there. Barbie, the very large ones. Let's work it all up. Right. Let's just have a look on there. Does that cutter have a special name? This cutter is just our size rings. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? Size rings, yeah. Because the book that we brought out, Too Good to... No, not Too Good to Good. Modelling Made Easy. I've been looking at a different book this morning, it's in my head. Modelling Made Easy. We use this a lot for sizes rather than scales. But I'll go over this again in a moment because I use this to make the teddy. So I'll give you all the sizes and weights for that in a sec. Right, so going back to this. Now, if you I like to use my bone tool so it's pointing upwards. And when I say on different projects, soften the edge, it's softening, it's going round on the edge, not like this, where you go inside the edge. You see the difference? You're cupping that this edge hasn't moved at all. So this one here, by going over that edge, yeah, you're getting a really nice frill. And with this particular flower, you can go around a couple of times just to make sure you get a nice frill on that. So just really get that moving. You can see it flouncing up. We should call them flouncy flowers. No, that's even worse. I could need new teeth to do that. Right, so go round each of these. Now, if it was a hot day, then when you cut these out, cover them with plastic, you know, a plastic bag or petal mat or something it's called, isn't it? Where you pop them inside, but a plastic bag does just as well. So just going round and round. You see, I mean, it's just good practice now. It's something for you to do. It's like royal icing. You need to be able to sit and practice different techniques, don't you? And for this one, it's a great one for, as I say, just learning to do that. Okay, so you can go over a couple of times, make sure they're really frilly, and then I'm just going to use water. Nothing fancy on this. So it's just moisten the bottom one, place that one on top, moisten, place that one on top. You could just do one layer if you wanted to. You don't have to do two of each. I just like I think the white one actually was only one layer. I'll show you that close up in a minute. So you're just going down in sizes and pop that one in, moisten, pop that one in, moisten, pop that one in. Pop that one, moisten, and then the last one. And then you can either use sugar glue to stick a few of the pearls in. About 5 you need. Oh, that's 5. So that's might be 6. They are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Just move those out of the way. And then just go back. You can either use a brush or use the back of your Dresden tool just to flick. That is. Just flick the layers up and then just leave them to dry. Now this one here, I've used a darker pink, 2 layers of darker pink, medium pink, lighter pink, just to give that shade. And then I've just dusted the green onto the centre of that one. This one, I have touched the edges and painted the little pearls gold. Now when I say touch the edges, this one is just the same as that. This one's only got 1 layer of each, so it's slightly more open. So it just depends on, just play around with them and see what you want to do. Right, so if you want to just touch the edges, then get a spoon, get a sponge. It's one of those days. That looks nothing like a spoon. Get a sponge and some burgundy colour. I'll do the burgundy. You can use paste colours for what I'm going to do now, but because I've got dust colours on the go, I'll do that. So just get a bit more colour in that. Okay, so I'm just going to spread that onto a sponge, but paste colours work just as well. And when the flower's dried, then just go over. Like so, and that will just touch the tips of the petals or the ruffle. And then I'll just mix some gold and alcohol and paint the little pearls. Let's see. not with my water brush. What's that one? Okay. I think I've lost a pearl from there, but that's okay. So you could do green centres or whatever. It just gives you a sort of an alternative. Right, so then I'll go back to my plaque. Oh, we've just had the camera leg put on it. Got a little bit of a squash there, but never mind. So I'm just going to look at this and see where I want these. I'll put that one out of the way because I've just made that. So I'm going to have one up there. In fact, I think I'll just do that. I think I'll do just a straightforward drop. So I'll moisten just like so and pop that over. Be happy where that's going to go. So these could be panels, or you could put the flowers straight onto the side of a cake if you wanted to. You can either use the royal icing that you've got or a little ball of the paste, the same paste, which would raise them up slightly if you wanted them raised up. I'll do one of each. So into a ball and then just flatten slightly, moisten with water or glue. And then water on the top or glue, whatever it is you're using. And then you can just pop that flower on top there. Or you can use, as I say, the royal icing that I have in my bag. Could be softened sugar paste. Put that one on there. Put that one on there, just make that help. Should be big enough for the leaves. And then you can just add, now I've got small leaves, you could make these much bigger if you wanted to. I'll put some onto that, where that's squashed stem. Maybe in, maybe green icing would be better. I'll use water. One on there. And then you could just put one at the top there. So you can put as many or as few as you want on. Okay, so that's just a very quick, simple little flower that you can make with the, so it's not just using the size rings as I'm going to do now for the teddy, it's just trying to get as much out of your cutters as possible. Right, let me put that to one side. I'll just straighten those up after. Okay, so let's move that over there. And then we're going to, somebody said last week when I was doing the blocks and I showed you how to make the baby, and someone said, what about the teddy? So I'm going to show you about making the teddy. Again, I'm using flower paste. So I coloured some with just brown. You can obviously make your teddies in whatever colour you want. So it's flower modelling paste, and then I've got a slightly lighter shade there. I'm going to put a tummy on. I'm going to show you a couple of the bears here. So this is the one from last week, if you remember. We've got them in all sorts of shapes and, you know, some of them here. The arms, I've put a little cocktail stick inside and let the arms dry and then just push them into the body once, you know, where the body would be soft, the arms would go in. Now I use cocktail sticks because these are hard. So even if you've got someone who decides to eat it, heaven forbid, it's going to take some biting to get into that. So people tend to keep the teddies as mementos. Now this little teddy here looks totally different. This is one that's nice for Mother's Day or Valentine's. And he's got bigger ears, his eyes are slightly closer together. He's got pads and toes on there and a tummy. So the one I'm going to do now is this one. So you can see the difference. So no bears are alike. Basically the same, but this one's got wider eyes, smaller ears, and no pads. It's just got the pad there, but no toes, toe pads. So you can see practically the same height. So the sizes and measurements I'm going to give you now as we go along. It doesn't take a moment to make this teddy. Yeah, and then we'll make a little bow. And this flower here is the one from, I've just cut out now from the Blossom and Leaf set. And I'll put them with the babies after. So I'll just put that there for now. Okay, so I've already measured out all my pieces. So I'll just get these out. So I always start off with the body and then the legs. That's that and that. And I've had them in a bag, as you can hear. So I'm just going to work this. So this is 50 grams. If you've got your little scales, don't forget to take the tops off like I didn't when I first got mine. So you can weigh all those, or you can use the size rings. Now this one says it's a 50 grams or a size 4. Now on the size rings, on the little tab here, that is a size 4. It's got a little number on there. And with the rings, what you do is work your paste and then go into a nice ball shape. Now if you can't get rid of any creases, you've got to press quite firmly when you're making a ball. But if for any reason you can't get rid of creases, I'm trying to find the creases, but anyway, go the opposite way. And don't put corn flour or icing sugar on your hand. If you think, oh, it's going a little bit sticky, I know this sounds odd, but put a little bit of Trex on there, because you'll find that the corn flour, it will dry the surface out and then you'll start getting creases. So it's a nice smooth ball, and then it's a 5 centimetre, I'm using my little thing here, my Renshaw one. So 5 centimetre cone. So just roll that off. It's like a pear shape really, if you rather than a cone, but it only wants to be 5 centimetres. Now that's just a little bit too tall, so I'm just going to push that down a bit. Don't go too big. It's like with the babies last week. If the body goes a little bit high, it doesn't look right. You want a little chunky body. So try again. Yeah, that's spot on. Okay, so what I do is just rub that bit there, and that's going to make a chubbly bottom. Okay, chunky bottom. And then I am going to put a cocktail stick in. But again, if you want to, you could use a lollipop, you know, the paper lollipop sticks, get a fine one. So I'm just going to twist that in, and then just make sure that you have, because you still have that 5, yeah. Sometimes when you push the stick in, you can squash it down a little bit. So just keep checking and remember where the little bottom is there. Right. Just put that to one side. I'm just going to cut out a tummy. So this is where I had the paler brown. I'd added some more white to it. So pop that in there. And I'm probably going to use a size 2.5. So that's this one here. So instead of just using it as a size ring, you can then use it to cut out as well. Okay, so I'm just going to soften around the edge. Just take that cut edge away, just soften, and you could even stretch it up a little bit to make it more like an oval shape. Right. Put that back in there. And I'm just going, so that's the bottom there. So this is going to be his tummy. So you can use water or sugar glue, depending on what you want to do. I've got a little bit of pink in that, never mind. Nobody will see it. So that's going to go on there. That's all the ones that are on the bit of the building blocks, they haven't got a different coloured tummy. I didn't bother with tummies on those. There's such a lot of bears, I just wanted to get on with the making of them. Okay, so then I'm going to work the legs. So the legs are 10 grams or 2.5 on the size rings. That's the one I've just used now to cut out with. I have to give this a little bit of a work and a roll. Make sure it's nice and smooth and put in a perfect roll. Right, no, perfect round, I should say. So it's halfway, so that should fit halfway over that when you're measuring. If it goes easily onto the thing, it's too small, or if this sits like a cockle on a rock up here, then the ball is too big. So you then go into a sausage 4.5. So let's have a little look on that. That is exactly 4.5. So I'm just going to then just roll a little, well, quite a bit actually, about a third there, and then pinch that up because you want to have him with quite big feet. Pinch at the back and then up. So you're just making this little foot. Then, so it'll fit nicely on the body, I'm just going to pinch that end to thin it out. Okay, then moisten with water and pop that there. Just give a little press. All right, and then use your Dresden tool just to make a couple of little marks there for toes. Give a little pinch. Just going to move that back around. That's it. Okay, happy with that. Then repeat. Now this bear, if you look at the feet, that one's got toes and pads. This one has got pads and no toes marked on, but little balls added. So you've got the choice what you want to do. So into a ball, and then the same thing. It's 10 grams or 2.5 and 4.5 on there, and about a third of the way down, and then pinch up, pull back the heel, and thin out the top of the leg. So moisten with a little water and pop that one on. So then you have to look at it from the front to make sure that they're in the right place and the feet are looking as though they're the same size, that they belong to each other. Okay, give that a little lift there. Okay, so we've got our legs on. And it's important, I think, to slim that down a little bit because otherwise it just looks a bit too chunky. Right, so I don't put the arms on now, I put the head on next. So where's my little bag of bits? Okay, so the head is 25 grams. Or 3.5 on the size ring. So just work it so that it's nice and round. Oh, it's 2.5 is the one that came off. Just about, yeah, halfway. Could take a little bit more, but that's fine. That'll do. Right. So press hard, press hard, press hard as you roll. Check it for seams. There's nice seams, that's not so bad. I'll just go back the other way. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of water around there. Now you don't want the stick too long, otherwise it'll poke out the top of his head. And then you'll have to put a flower on there. Just check. Should be okay. Right. We've got our little head on there. Now, I like to put the snout on. You can model that to make a little snout, and I've done that on other ones, but it's very easy to suddenly start looking like a mouse. So, especially if you put big ears on it. So I tend to go with a separate snout. Now the snout is 1.5. And there's the arms of the snout, which is a 1.5. That one, and then you cut it in half. So that has already been cut in half. So measure the 1.5 and then cut it into half. Okay, so then press down. So it's the ball in the palm of your hand, like that. And then with the heel of your thumb, press it down. What happens with that? It thins that edge around. And then just turn it over. I'm just going to gently press the back into a little dip, and that will fit on the face better. Right, so a little water on that. Not too much, because if it's too wet, it's going to slide, and then that makes life a bit difficult. So we want to just push that on, and then just press around the edge so that will fit on nicely on there. I think I'll turn his head a little bit so he's got a bit of an attitude. And then I'm going to, I'll turn this to camera now, but I'm just making a little hole there with my knife, and at the base of that I'll just get my frilling stick. Okay, and just at the base of that, I'm just, this curved bit here, I'm pushing that in to give him a little smile. Okay, now if you wanted to, you can then push the end of your Dresden tool in, push it in and pull it down, and that will give him a little open mouth. Depends how much, you know, work you want to put on this. And then I was frantically looking around then for a piece of black paste which I had, and I've got a horrible feeling I've thrown out. So this one will have a brown nose, but that's okay. I think it's brown, yeah. Okay, so black or brown. So into a little ball, slight oval shape. I mean, it could be a grey bear with a blue nose, couldn't it? Just it's entirely what you want to do. Just push that on there, so it's just at the top of the snout. And I might just take that little mark that I made there a bit lower. Okay. And then the eyes, I'm not putting too much, too much effort on the eyes. It's just, I'm just going to put them on with a black pen. You can see this one, the position of the eyes, quite just one either side of the nose, obviously. But this one has got their eyes a little bit further away from each other. But both of them are low down. Don't put them up here. It looks scary when you get eyes up here. Cute is down near the snout. Okay, so just lift those down, and if you want to try that, just make lots of heads and try drawing eyes on at different places on the head and see the difference that makes. So I'm just going to go, I might just use this one. So I'm just going to go, and you could always make a mark first with a cocktail stick if you wanted. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to do. You can go to town and start making, put whites in and paint them and all the rest of it, but I'm just making a very basic shape there. Especially if you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bears on a cake. Okay, so then the ears. Actually, I'll put the ears on last because I always when I put my arms on. I always end up knocking the ears off, so I'm just going to put the arms on next. Very basic. This one hasn't got anything other than just a sausage shape for his arms. This one, which I'm going to do now, has the little marks for the pads on there, for the toes, fingers, whatever you call them on a bear. I'm not quite sure. Right, so the arm is 5.5 grams, or you add together a 1.7, which is 1.75, is it 1.7? Yeah, 1.75 and a 1.5. So you make those two balls and add them together, knead them together, and that's the size that you get. And then you roll that into a 4 centimetre tapered cone. So I just lift that out of there. So 4.5 tapered cone. That's a bit short and just needs another little bit there. You want, well, I don't like them too long. Some bears do have very long arms, but I like them to be that size. So you've got that shape, and then just before I put it on, just going to mark on my little fingers, give it a little bend and moisten. Again, you don't want it too slippy, just tacky. And put that one on the shoulder, so that's round there. Bend that round, try not to dig your nail in. And then you use the little sponge, these little makeup sponges that I used last time for the baby's arms. Just pop one under there and that will hold, sit up, that will hold it. And then you do the other one. And then taper that down. 4.5, that looks a little bit thinner. I'll do that again. The taper, this is taper too severely, so it's just a gentle taper to 4.5. Let's see. Nope, a little more. Okay, 4.5, and then again mark on the little, if you want them you can have it plain. If they're going to hold a big bunch of flowers, it's pointless making that on. Now I'm going to just press there, and I want to be able to bend that round, and again enough water just to make that sticky, not slippy. Just touch it like that. So onto the shoulder, and then you can put that one up onto the face. He's a thoughtful bear, this one. Okay, and then again you would use the little supports under their ears. Okay, so just roll those round. Like so. Make sure they look the same. Now the ears, it's on the grams, it's 0.5 grams, or it's on these, it's a 1.5, which is the smallest one here, cut into 4, and they use the 2 pieces of that. As I say, you can have larger or smaller ears. Let's go back to these two. You can see the different sizes in ears there. Still looks cute, but don't go any bigger than that, because you're definitely making a mouse. So I would say, you know, right, so make sure that these are the same size, and then I'm just going to use my ball tool just to hollow that out and hollow that out. I've got a crease in that one, so I'm going to have to redo it. So again, and press down. I've got 2 creases now. Just going to add a little bit of Trex. onto there, press, roll the opposite way. Press, that's better. Right, so then I have to have the bear facing me and moisten where you think the ears are going to go and pop those on like so. Again, you want it maybe a bit more there. And a bit more there, just sticky, not very wet. You don't want them falling off. There, right, I'm going to leave it like that because then I'm just going to get some pink paste. No, I've got the peach. I like the peach on there. Okay, so I'm just going to make two very small, I mean I haven't even weighed these, but just two very small balls. And that's going to, again, I'm just going to have to turn the there to me. So I'm just placing it in like that first of all, and then I'm pushing with the smaller end of the ball. So push that one in there. You might just have to keep trying. The ears might start moving about a bit, so just keep going back and putting them on. And then the feet, again, the pads. I do a 1.5 cut in half and into a ball, press to thin the edges, into a ball, press to thin the edges, and then I'll just take those away a minute and then you can put those on. Just spend a little time just playing with those. You don't have to have pads on at all if you don't want. I'll just turn that to you now so that you can see. Okay, but I definitely leave those in because they will keep moving. So you leave those overnight, and then you also put a little bit of brown for his tail, which I can't find the brown, but I'll turn that one round so you can see it's on there. Okay, so we've got a little tail. Again, don't have to have a tail, it's up to you. And then underneath his chin, or her chin, whichever colour you want to use, a little bit of flour paste, so into a ball, and then into a sausage. I'm going to roll this really thin. Put a bit of Trex down there. But you can see why you have this dip, and you've got a nice rounded bottom. It just gives it a nice shape at the back, going from the head and then round like that. So roll this thin and then loop that round, press, loop that, and then a little ball in the centre. Without a crease. And then that can go under the chin. Bring that out a little bit. Right. Lift it up there. And then you could add a little flower or a bunch of flowers in the hand. So let me just go back to the plaque now that I did earlier. Okay, and the one that's already dried, we can sit him on there. And then, say it's for Mother's Day, just move all my rubbish out of the way. We have babies, so you can have that one, or you can have that one, and that one could have a little, you could do a little garland of flowers, like a little daisy chain going between them all. Or that one. So I think that one's cute because it's sort of moved a little bit. And the arms, again, I supported with that. That's the one I made last week with you. So this poor mother is being kept very busy. So that's it. We've completed everything I wanted to show you. Just lift those back into shot as well. We've got a good selection on there. And I'm just going to bring this cake into shot. 1 second. Okay, I just wanted to show you that little baby, maybe that one, sitting on top. So it does look like a nice little design on there. And the bear will sit, that's the one I've just made now. If you think that's a bit big, then half the sizes, or put 2 building blocks together, and then you've got the bear on the block. That one's still soft. Okay, so right, back up. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's given you a few ideas. I've done, as I say, I've done the blossoms painted in the pink and the green. The picture that we showed you was an earlier cake. You could tell by the depth of the cake, they were only like 3 or 4 inches deep, whereas the 6-inch deep now lends itself to the flowers tumbling over the edge. So I hope you've enjoyed it. It's given you lots of ideas, hopefully. And yeah, I'll see you again next week. Not quite sure when, but I'm not even sure what I'm doing, but we'll figure something out. If you've got any requests, let me know. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye.